I'm so weak. Do you know what? I think my missus has already tidied up all our Christmas hats and Christmas decorations. You wouldn't even know Christmas has been happening in our house. It's already all been done, mate. So sorry. Otherwise, I'd join you and I'd put on a Christmas hat. But I think it's all gone, mate. It's all, but you'd think it's the middle of June in our house now.
Well, I'm at home today. I'm at my mum's house explaining the elaborate beer cabinet that they've got behind them. I got absolutely spanked on Christmas Day.
Very nice, mate. Have you had a good Christmas?
I had a fantastic Christmas. I didn't partake in the spanking of alcohol, though. I stayed sober for the first Christmas. I'm trying to work it out the other day. I think I've been pissed Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day since I was 14. And I'm 40 years, so it's like 26 years. I've been absolutely fucking leathered every Christmas, and I've been leathered. And then I honestly had such a fantastic time, and I'm going to intend the pun, but it was very nice being present throughout it all.
None of that whining. That's the spirit.
Yeah. Right. Okay, we won't talk about coronavirus just yet. Corona? No. Dragging the joke out there, Dave. Anyway, happy Christmas to you as well, Jay. How was your day?
Yeah, it was all right, mate. Obviously, with the restrictions, we had to have it a little bit different. My mum and dad came round for a bit. We usually all go out of their house, but we couldn't do that. We usually go out of their house and go out on my other in-law's house as well, mix it up. But what we did was on Christmas Day, my mum and dad came round for a couple of hours. Then we had dinner on our own, just me and the kids and the missus. And then on Boxing Day, her mum and dad came round. Unfortunately, I was working, so I didn't really see them. But yeah, it was different. But we're in a new house, and the kids are sort of, they're all old enough now to fully get it. So yeah, it was good, mate. It was enjoyable, despite obviously not being able to mingle like we normally do. But to be honest with you, mate, it doesn't hurt me as much as it would others because my family live nearby, so I'm able to see them. They can pop round rather than. Because I know some people, if your family lives like down the other end of the country, it's obviously difficult. And plus, because I don't drink as well, Christmas is a bit. I wouldn't say it's better that I'm not sort of surrounded by loads of people boozing because it's not. It's just it was sort of more suited to me because it was just like us. Well, my missus will have like a Bucks Fizz and that, but she doesn't really get on it that much. Not that I'm saying don't drink around me because I don't mind that at all. But yeah, it was more sort of we were all doing a similar thing. So yeah, it was good, man. It was good, and I'm just sort of grateful for what I've got, really. When you remind you done it, don't get all sentimental, especially not 2 minutes into the podcast. But, as you well know, Mr. Scott, some Christmases have been a bit crap.
Yeah. Yes, I know all too well.
We're not going into details. I think the dance. Well, both of us have had Christmases that haven't been that great over the years, so it's nice to spend it with the family and the loved ones, and appreciate the good things we've got, regardless of the utter shitstorm that's going on around us.
Yeah, I didn't wake up in the back of a car not knowing where I was hugging a teddy bear this year. That's always a good kick-off to Christmas Day. I've had some or in a cell, and that's happened as well in the past. And I was not guilty, just to let you know how that story ended. How did you find the whole like Christmas presents and shit? Because I was going to have a massive argument with missus because Santa didn't pay the extra 15 quid to get the fucking kids' bikes assembled. So here's me that can't put up a shelf, having to put 3 fucking bikes and a skateboard together, and then praying to every god, Allah, Jesus, Buddha, every fucking god under the sun, that my kids were all right and survived the park the next day. I was thinking, should I go out with bubble wrap and then put me bubble wrap as we were going. My brakes, mate. How hard are fucking brakes to put on a bike?
Well, you're a better man than I am, Mr. Scott, in many ways, obviously. But I, following the disaster that was Christmas 2017, when my son's bike failed to steer after I assembled it, I gave bike assembling duties to my father-in-law, who's quite the handyman. So I had a similar situation to you because I wanted to order a bike that was built. They build it in store in Halfords. Other bike shops are available. Although if you are watching the Halfords people, we are happy to promote you. But I bought an assembly bike or bike that needed to be assembled and dropped it off at my father-in-law's, who's a dab hand at it, and he put it together. So I avoided all that, mate, because I'm terrible with any form of handiwork.
Yeah,
I'm just shite.
I didn't put myself forward for this job, mate. This wasn't a noble act on my behalf trying to save 15 quid from them their Halfords. But I was like forced into it. And I'm not joking, my granddad loves fixing bikes. And I was close to driving around to Bickdyke Court in Longsight at 2:00 in the morning. Just help.
Seriously, I'm the other way around in our house. I'm banned from assembling bikes because my missus quite likes our children and she wants them to be safe. So
that's good. It's a good attribute for a mother, that.
Yeah, she doesn't really want them going around on a bike that doesn't steer or have brakes.
Yeah, but I was trying to teach my eldest, saying to her, she's got like teaching her how to ride a bike, and I said, you know what my dad did? He put me on no stabilizers, this blue and white. I think it was a BMX on the streets of Longsight, middle of the road. Put me on no stabilizers and just pushed me. Never ridden a bike before, and then 2 minutes later, fucking right on my ass, and that was my introduction. Very much a sink or swim upbringing.
Yeah, mate, that was how it was done. When I was the same. My dad taught me in sunny Stretford when we were living there, and yeah, it was a similar sort of thing to me. But my lad, when he did it, he had the stabilizers, and then we took them off. And I took him actually. Sorry, I'm telling lies. I took him to there was like a bike course when we were living in Earlham. Like these proper bike people who like came down and for like 3 or 4 hours taught you how to ride a bike, the basics for little kids. And bless him, my lad was like the last one to leave that day. And by the end of it, he was riding his bike. So it was mate. Yeah, and then I took him out like a few times. So yeah, and he was proper giddy, going out around the houses. So yeah, it's good, man. It is good to see him out riding the bikes. And obviously we've got all that to look forward to when they start causing mischief like we used to on our bike.
I know, I do fear if the apple falls anywhere remotely close to this tree, then you know there'll be a lot of cider to be drunk.
Very true.
Yeah, but we're back for a festive. Well, I'm festive. I'm in the spirit for Christmas special. Scotty and Motty, just a massive thank you to everybody who's been watching us this year. As we always say, it was just set out as a bit of a counselling from me and Jay, just to whinge about each other. As he's over 40, I'm approaching 40, and we don't drink, and we've got fuck all else to do but rant to each other about our midlife crises. So we appreciate you joining us on this venture, and the numbers are going up subscribing. So really, really appreciate that. And I hope you've all had a fantastic Christmas and all the best of 2021. We've got austerity and Brexit to look forward to, but aside from that, there might be some downsides. So you know, let's keep our heads up in the forthcoming year. I nearly died yesterday. I was driving home from I had my BBC show last night. I'm driving past. Remember the toll gate?
Yes.
Tollgate pub, you've been in there. No, Old
Trafford. Yeah.
We've been in the tollgate. So I drove past where we actually met. Actually, Jay, quite romantic, quite nostalgically romantic.
I was good old one cell customer service.
Yeah, I didn't do it purposefully. I needed some petrol.
Take the kids. Say that's where I met Jay. Hey, we bonded over a love of skiving together and doing a minimal amount of work.
Yeah. You know, that's what it's like though when you sort of sat in a room and you start a new job, you're trying to work out, or at school or college, I guess, and you're looking around like, who's the one that's like me? And I was like, who's got the least work ethic? Who's the one that won't skive with? And it was you.
Be like, right, mate, you got a light on? We're gonna sing this induction shit. Come on.
He smells like he's been on another 3-day bender like me. But
can you get porn on these computers?
Yeah. Oh man. But I go down the trip of memory lane. But so I'm driving down that road. What is it? What's that road called? Is it Trafford Road?
It's Talbot Road, isn't it?
Talbot Road. And
there's a police station up just further up on the right hand side.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
So it's gonna wake up on a Christmas morning.
Yeah. So I'm driving down there, and I nearly crashed because some dickheads put a shopping trolley in the middle of Talbot Road.
The old ones are the bastards, aren't they?
And the traffic it's not very well lit, and I thought I'm going to die here. This is going to be the least sort of rock and roll death Death by Trolley. Do you know? And there was something shit on the fucking. I think what's his name? The lad from Scotland who's really famous this year for singing. Lewis Capaldi was on the stereo, and I thought I'm going to be found wrapped up around the lamppost, killed by an Asda trolley, listening to Lewis Capaldi, and I thought this isn't the way I want to go. Do you know what I mean?
Not rock and roll that for you. I've got better plans for you. The way you're
let's hope it's a way off. Yeah, but I was wondering if there was a song that you'd want, because like I'm a creative and my imagination all the way home. I was having a conversation with myself. What would be the song that I would like to be found if I was to be found in a car wreck? And there's the CD player, or the CD player is what we used to put into cars for our younger audiences. Yeah. Before MP3s came along, and before then we had tapes, and that's a whole other podcast. Cassettes, yeah. And then so I was like thinking, what song would I really want to? And I don't want like an Oasis one because it'd be too obvious. And you don't want that. And I was thinking, how about like Norwegian jazz? Just because then it adds a little bit of mystery. Do you know what I mean? And like, I didn't know Dave Scott was into Norwegian jazz. That's different. And then a lot of people pondering who was his favorite Norwegian jazz artist. Do you know what I mean? And that sort of legacy, and just leaving that little bit of interest. As my carcass is pulled away from an Asda shopping trolley.
Norwegian jazz. Is there even a thing like Norwegian jazz? Sounds like a trip we used to have. You got any of them Norwegian jazzes?
It does sound like LSD, doesn't it? Yeah.
Hey, don't talk to him. He's out of his head. He's been on them Norwegian jazz. Take the notice of him, mate. That's why he's going down Talbot Road in a shopping trolley on Christmas morning. He's on that fucking Norwegian jazz, man. I told him, stay off it. He wouldn't listen to me. Yeah. If that happened, if you died listening to Norwegian jazz, I'd tell everyone that he's well into it.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Ask me, I'd be like, oh, yeah, Scotty, he loved his Norwegian jazz, mate. Seriously, that's all he ever used to listen to. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, I was well into it, mate. Well into it. I don't know, mate. I'm with you. I like the idea of listening to something that's so unpredictable that people go, right, what's all that about? Do you know what I mean? He was listening to that. I didn't know he was into his. He didn't know he was into his Verdi. He was into his Puccini.
Yeah.
What, J Motty? Fucking hell, man. Dark horse, innit?
More layers than an onion. That's what you need, man.
Yeah, exactly. Not just the Smiths. Or listening to fucking Morrissey. Do you know what I mean? Or something bog standard that everyone expects. He had the Stone Roses on when he died.
Fucking hell. Didn't see that one coming. I used to say to my missus when I want a funeral song, I'm going to have Live Forever. And that was like, we're going back like 15 years now, and I never ever want that song at my funeral. I don't even like that song anymore. No, it's just, it's been killed. You don't want a song that's being killed played at your funeral, do you?
Have you got a funeral song though?
Yeah, there's one by the Kinks called "This Time Tomorrow" that I really like. This time tomorrow, God knows where we'll be, and all that sort of stuff. I quite like that one. I'd like some like "Incredible" by MB and was it MB and General Levi? That'd be pretty cool. Incredible. I went to Toni Morris's funeral this year, and it was the best soundtrack for a send off. I've never been to a wake and heard Busta Rhymes' "Woo Ha" or A Tribe Called Quest, and I was like, this is cool as fuck. Do you know what I mean?
Legend.
So yeah,
even in death, he's a legend. Mate, I've always said to my missus, because she'll outlive me, it's guaranteed, that I'll have the Circle of Life, not the Elton John version or the Disney version.
What's the difference? Is it not?
It's like the Disney version is like. It's like African singers and all that, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's like, have you ever been to see The Lion King at the theatre?
No.
It's meant, honestly, I'm not.
I'd like to go. I'd like to go.
Mint, mate. Honestly, it's like one of the best experiences you can have. But there's like that version is like where they have like proper singers and all that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Elton John can't sing, but you know.
Yeah.
If you saw
imagine if Vaughan is scrambling around on the day of the funeral and all she can find is the Elton John version. Talk about turning in your grave.
What did I fucking say?
Where's that fucking coming from? Fucking haunt you.
I thought that because it's like, you know what I mean? It's not too depressing. It's quite uplifting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want something that's proper like, I know it's a funeral, but you don't want it too doom and gloomy, do you? Do you know what I mean? You want a bit of like, hey, come on.
Yeah.
Especially for our
yeah, I mean, and I'm glad we've started off on this cheering note for this festive podcast. But let us know what your funeral song would be, or what if you were going to be wrapped around a car and killed by a shopping trolley, what you would like your song legacy to be lived by. Are you into Norwegian jazz? Do you know any Norwegian jazz artists, or are they really a bad trip? Nice, yeah. This is Scotty and Motty. We're going to do top turkeys of the year. So obviously the people that we've mentioned a lot throughout the podcast as it's been on, and also what has been the greatest present that 2020 has brought us this year. So Jay, turkeys of 2020, who do you want to roast first?
Well, we've had some good contenders, haven't we, this year? It's mad because this year feels like about 5 years, because pre-lockdown doesn't feel like this year. It feels like 2018 or something. It just feels like it was years ago. But the one that we've spoken about a lot, and that stood out for me in a packed field of utter shite when it comes to the Tory cabinet, this guy stands out, even head and shoulders above the rest. And I can't think of anyone less equipped to be the health secretary than the one we've got. And he's just displayed his utter ineptitude at every turn, mixed with a little bit of sociopathy as well. He's like, there's something quite not right about him. And I'm talking, of course, about Matt Hancock, who I think he's most famous recently for pretending to cry on Good Morning Britain. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. Where he tried to act like a human being and failed miserably because it's just not in his genetic makeup to be human. He was just, whether it was not providing PPE, not giving nurses the pay rise they wanted or they needed, lying, getting confused about his own policies, thinking that claps make up for frontline workers just not getting the equipment and the pay that they deserve and the help they deserve, and just being a general muppet throughout this pandemic, and making a bad situation much, much worse. And I think, it's almost like we're being harsh on turkeys comparing to them, because let's get one thing straight. I mean, you said it constantly on this podcast, because we started this during the pandemic, so we've often spoken about him. It is a difficult job being the health secretary during a pandemic. I get that. You get that. We get it. Yeah? No one's saying it isn't, but that doesn't give you the right to be completely shit at it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that because it's a hard job, you being terrible at it is okay. No, it isn't. And he has been terrible at it. And the evidence is there to see. You look at the death rates, you look at the way that equipment didn't arrive what was meant to arrive, the contracts that have been given to his mates who've got no experience whatsoever in the contracts that have been given, just his general demeanour, whether it's, selling rival politicians that he doesn't like their tone, or that he won't, answer their questions. Usually politicians of colour as well, just going to throw that out there. He's just been a disaster. During a disaster, he's been a disaster. So he's right up the top of my list, and the first one that springs to mind as being my 2020 Christmas turkey.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you not have any sort of sympathy with him, that he's sort of the Pinocchio to Boris Johnson's Geppetto in all this? It does seem that when Dominic Cummings left, and they'd taken away the blanket ban, especially on stuff like Good Morning Britain, where the people weren't allowed in camera, he seems to have been, either through his own want or his position, become the sort of face of the pandemic and how it's been handled. But I completely agree with you regarding how there are some jobs. This isn't like you're working at a supermarket. Not to say that supermarket is not a hard job, but sometimes it is. But you can dial it in some days. Nobody's going to get killed if you put the beans on the tomato ketchup sauce. But you can't be you can't be underqualified at certain positions. It's like a pilot. You don't want a shit pilot, do you? You've got to be able to do your job every single day that you are doing your job. And I do think that certain things that he's done this year have a hell of a left to want him. But I was talking to a couple of mates in the WhatsApp group, trying to be Tory's advocate and saying that I know the PPE stuff as well. I can't find any sort of any defence, and I'm not trying to defend him, but I just it's Christmas and it's a time of forgiving and stuff. I'm just trying to see if there is anything Is it all his own? Is it all he's doing, or is it because he's sort of been kicked out in front of the cameras and the decisions made behind him?
I mean, there are some decisions that have been made, by others as well that he's had to go along with or that he's advocated for. But you have to remember, for me, Boris Johnson seems a very hands-off type of prime minister. He doesn't seem like he's someone who's got his finger on the pulse and he's sort of leading by, his own initiatives or micromanaging or any of that. I genuinely think that Boris Johnson is probably saying, right, you go out and deal with it and just let me know what you've decided. But regardless, I mean, even recently, Matt Hancock's gone on national television and more or less blamed people for not abiding by the rules on the reason that the numbers are terrible. And yet, this is the same Matt Hancock that twice, by my counts, it might be more, tweeted support of Dominic Cummings, for driving to Bernard Castle with his kids in the back of the car as some form of eye test during the middle of lockdown. You can't have it both ways. Yeah. If you're the health secretary, your job is to protect the health of the people of this country. That's your job. Not to look out for Dominic Cummings and try and keep him in his job. Yeah. Not to blame people who are suffering already and try and pass the buck. Your job is to keep people safe. And I don't think he's done that. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. Yes. The whole government's shit. Boris Johnson's a fucking idiot. So Matt Hancock is on a bit of a hiding to nothing. But even the basic things, even when he goes on the telly and does an interview, he's getting that completely wrong. He's getting, his attitude's always wrong. The fact that he's given his personal friends have had contracts, that's nothing to do with Boris Johnson. That's Matt Hancock himself. He hasn't got a grip of it from day one, and he still hasn't got a grip of it. And then he comes on the television, right? And I'm sorry, right, Scotty, but I've seen better acting in fucking Hollyoaks. I really have. And my missus hates me saying that because she loves Hollyoaks. But when he went on the television and pretended to cry and yet couldn't muster a single tear and then gave up trying to pretend to cry and then started giggling, it was probably the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. It was ridiculous and it was insulting and I found it offensive because I'm sick of this sort of, we're doing a great job and the only reason we've been let down is because people are too thick to... I've just had a message off my missus there saying, whoa, because I slagged off. I must be able to hear me. I'm in trouble. I'll be sleeping on the couch tonight. But, blaming people who are already going through the mill. And let's not forget, millions and millions and millions of people have abided by these rules. The vast majority of people in this country have abided by them. They've done the best. They've stuck to the rules. They've followed the guidelines. It's not people breaking the rules. Not all of them. Like, there has been exceptions, but they are the exceptions. Not everyone has. But when he was faced with someone who was breaking those rules and he could have took a stand and he could have said, don't forget, other MPs did. The kid who was in charge of Scotland or was the Tory MP in Scotland quit. He said, I can't go along for this one. Matt Hancock could have said, you know what? I'm sorry, but no, he shouldn't have done that. But he didn't take a stand. He's spineless. No. He's spineless and he's brainless and it's not a good combination for an health secretary.
No, definitely not. So Jay's top turkey going in for the oven to be roasted. It's like room 101, isn't it?
It is, mate. This could be a 12-hour pod.
So I'm going to. I've now braised my turkey, and my turkey that's going into the oven. Do you braise a turkey? I don't even like turkey, to be honest. It's a bit.
Stick him in the microwave, don't you? For 3 minutes.
Bernard Manning, not Bernard Manning.
Yeah. Bernard Matthews, right?
Yeah, not Bernard Manning turkeys. No. Down the working men's club in North Manchester.
There was a black fella.
Okay, no. The black turkey.
Black turkey, his white turkey, it must stop. No, that's enough, Bernard.
Yeah. It's going to be Manchester's own via Warrington, conspiracy theorist chief, Adidas wearer, got the haircut of Jimmy Savile nowadays, is Mr. Ian Brown. And I know he's not alone in all the conspiracy theorists, but when you have an idol that was for so many Mancunians, and a lot of music fans up and down the country just absolutely adore, excuse the pun, Ian Brown and the Stone Roses and stuff. And a lot of us were very, very surprised at his tweets, just completely dismissing the pandemic and coronavirus, regardless of their of the implications that we can all see and the amount of deaths that continue to rise now as we've got a second strain and whatnot. And I just found it completely foolish. If he's got them views, then that's fine. I'm not against anyone having them views, but I just think when you've got such a fan base that you need to sort of toe the line a little bit. And I found it massively disrespectful as well. And because the amount of people that are fucking ill or dying that can't see their fucking, you can't see your grandparents and stuff. My grandma's been like severely ill. She found out severely ill this year. And I've not been able to take my kids around to see her and stuff like that. And I'm staying by the lines. There is nothing to suggest by any rationale that this isn't a deadly disease. And just to see someone that everyone put on such a pedestal for a large part of their lives, I just found it was just fucking, it was really, really bad taste. And I tried to listen to, I can listen to the Stone Roses because let's be honest, Ian Brown can't sing for Toffer, but John Squire's an amazing guitarist, Manny's cracking on bass, and Rene on drums. So let's be honest, Ian Brown was the shit musician in the Stone Roses. So and John Squire come out afterwards and said you should definitely be wearing masks to counter Ian Brown. So I think we can all agree, regardless of not being an official announcement, that the Stone Roses will not be coming back for a fucking third reunion. And to be honest, the singles that they released when they did the second reunion was absolute dog shit, but I'm going off on a tangent. But Ian Brown and Noel Gallagher, again, I'm not wearing masks, it's taking away my civil liberties. Get to fuck, you pompous twat. I can't stand him. So in the tinfoil, wrapped in tinfoil, as is fitting, the turkey that is Ian Brown for 2020.
Mate, I love a good Scotty rant. As always, can't agree more with you, mate. And you know what? It hurts more, it burns more when it's someone that you respect and admire and you grew up sort of listening to. And we've had a lot of this lately, haven't we, me and you? We've covered it on this podcast extensively with our heroes letting us down with their, idiotic right-wing conspiracy theories, pro-Brexit, whatever, nonsense, whether it's Morrissey or Ian Brown or whoever. And yeah, it was a shame. And, there was all the going on about phones and how bad phones are and iPhones and all this shit whilst tweeting from an iPhone. As the kids say, make it make sense. Yeah. Like, come on. But yeah, this whole thing of it's almost trying to be punk in it or something, but failing miserably, fuck the government, or I'm not doing that, I'm not conforming, I'm not doing as I'm told, sort of thing. But you're getting the tone wrong and your facts don't make any sense. Not even facts, they're just made up dribble. Yeah. The sort of shite you'd see on QAnon or wherever. So, I'm with you on that one. Ian Brown, I think someone needs to take his phone off him, or his mate's phone, apparently he's using money, and just not let him use it for a while because he's just spouting drivel from it. So 100%, mate, hit the nail on the head, definitely.
It's just it really, really hurt, that one. Have you got any more turkeys, or should we look at a present?
Have you got any more turkeys? I can give you one more.
Go for one more, yeah.
We've got to do the obvious one, haven't we? I think me and you, if you go through our thumbnails on this channel, there's a guy that's on about 80% of them. And I don't mean purple hacky. I'm talking about the soon-to-be ex-president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, who has always been a bit of a character, shall we say. But, as I've said before, me and Scotty started this about 6 months ago, whatever. And during the last 6 months, he's been worse than ever. And during the last week, I think he's just gotten, even by his own standards, he just absolutely hit rock bottom. I mean, during the Trump presidency, before it was seen just horrible comments, racist comments, sexist comments, just disgusting actions. We've seen that constantly, and it's always more or less been stomached by a lot of people. And even going into the election, he still got 75 million votes. So it's not like he turned off everyone. But if you look more recently as well, today I think it is. He's refusing to sign the bill that will give relief to people during coronavirus, saying that wants to give him more money, which everyone's saying he's just posturing. It's just the last stand. It's just his last bit of authority, and he's just doing a bit of dick waving. That's going to hurt a lot of people. A lot of people are now going to be without anything over the next few weeks, which is just a shambles. But we've seen it time and time again. He's refusing to accept the election result. He's throwing a lot of shade that way, making people doubt it when he's obviously lost the election. He's lost every court case to do that. There's no evidence to support the idea that he lost the election, other than the fact that he's a great big man baby who can't accept defeat and can't handle the fact that he's a loser. And we've just seen this consistently from Trump. He's just not handled the pandemic in the right way at all. He's been undermining the governors of each state's efforts, especially democratic states. When it comes to wearing masks, he's not been wearing one. Then he caught COVID. Obviously got all the treatment you could ever wish for at Walter Reed Hospital. And then quickly went and got into his car to go and spread COVID to everyone. I mean, he's had super spreader events. The guy has just been, like Matt Hancock, an absolute disaster during this disaster. And the sort of icing on the cake of shite was when he went live on national television or on international television and suggested that the cure to COVID, and this was completely ad-libbed, may be for people to inject bleach into themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be funny if it wasn't so fucking tragic. Just an absolute shambles of a president. And I genuinely think, and I know this might sound melodramatic, but Scotty, you know me, and I do like my American history and American politics. And I know there's some contenders there, Richard Nixon being the obvious one because he had to resign. But I genuinely think Trump will go down in history as the worst president ever. I do.
Yeah.
I think if you look at what he's done, the actions he's taken, the courses of action he's taken on so many issues, not just on the pandemic, but on climate change, which he's more or less dismissed, the environment, which he's done nothing for. He's deregulated everything in the name of trying to create more jobs, and it's been proven that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And just his rhetoric as well. You can't ignore the things that he says as well. He says some horrible things. He's just a horrible, horrible man who's not very bright and has somehow managed to become rich, famous, and the president. And I think years from now, people look back and they'll go, how the fucking hell did that happen? And I just thank God that, or Allah or whoever, that we've not got to stomach a second term, because I don't even know if this planet could survive a second term of that moron.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that he'll definitely go down as the worst president in American history. Especially, I mean, you've got more knowledge than me, but from the ones I know in the American history that I know, I can't think of a worse one. But the thing is, though, all that you've just said, that still 75 million people would have wanted him in for a second term. That's the fucking scary thing about it. Do you know what I mean? That's what really terrifies me, is that there were 75 million people that sort of bought into it, and it's just that's where I worry. Where do we go from here? Because it wasn't just one man; it was the army, so to speak, that sort of that was behind him, that put him on that sort of pedestal and believed in the rhetoric and agreed with his policies and stuff like that. And then this week, what pissed me off about Donald Trump was when he refused to, didn't he pardon them the Blackwater ops in the Middle East for actually slaughtering innocent people, and then he allowed them to get away with it. It's fucking, I mean, that just shows the sort of level of the man, really, doesn't it?
100%. You know, it's just, you know, he has this thing, they have this idea about Trump that he's appealing to his base. Yeah, that's why he does these things, because the sort of the right wing faction of America, the blue collar or the Republican, diehard Republican types, you know, they like that sort of thing, they respect that sort of thing. But you know, you have to look at it as a human being. What those soldiers did was a crime. It was murder. It was out of order. Obviously, murder is out of order. And to pardon them, I'm not sure of the figures, I might be wrong, but is it 7 years or 10 years, whatever they've done?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, you know, they've done nothing really for the crimes they committed. And then to pardon them is just ridiculous. And he's not stopped, as he's been pardoning all sorts of everyone's. A lot of people looking at it going, is this even illegal what he's doing? Because I know you can pardon everyone, but he's pardoning people that should just not be pardoned, especially like Paul Manafort and Roger Stone and people that have helped him. There's even talk of him trying to pardon himself if he can legally do that, because he knows, or it's suspected, that Joe Biden or whoever comes in to, not just Joe Biden as president, obviously, but the Justice Department can look at what's been going on and the laws that he's been breaking. I think he's still got cases in Manhattan hanging over him for tax evasion or whatever. I mean, the guy's just dodgy. He is just proper dodgy. And we've got at the time of recording this, I think we've got 23 days, is it? 24 days maybe until the inauguration of Joe Biden. And I just put your fucking crash helmet on for the next 23 days, because amazes me to say this, and it seems we can't get any worse, but I think the worst may be yet to come. It really might be. And I'm sorry, we've said this on this podcast before. If I was, in the military or whatever, working with Donald Trump, I'd be changing them nuclear codes.
Yeah.
I would. I'd be giving him the key to the fucking Wendy house instead of the nuclear codes, because I just would not trust that man not to go firing rockets at Iran or something, because he's absolutely off the rocker.
I just think, fingers crossed that anybody from any other country that's deemed as not an ally to America just stays quiet for the next 3 weeks, because God knows, because that'll be it. Oh, fuck it, I'm going for it. Do you know what I mean? That's it.
100%.
This will be my lasting mark. I'll just completely nuke a country, then fuck off, and then pardon himself for doing stuff, and then fuck off into the sun. But yeah, I agree. I like I said, he's been. Trump has trumped everybody else in terms of making an appearance on this podcast. Hopefully next year, in 2021, we won't be talking about him as much. I fear that won't be the case. So I imagine he'll be rearing his head like a whack-a-mole in 2021. I want to, one more, and obviously we can talk about Boris Johnson, and I think we've covered all that, but that's a turkey I don't want to put in the oven tonight. Something that really pissed me off this year was Priti Patel and her old rhetoric and policies on immigrants and how she wants to deal with them when they come to this country. Obviously, the Brexit deal's just gone through this week. We'll talk about after this bit. But just her role as being the daughter of immigrants, and then how she sort of wants to welcome anybody who wants to try and better their lives by coming to this country by having Navy boats in the Channel aimed at them, and then to actually have an island off the coast of Africa to send them to check them in. What's to process their application for migration into the country. It's just completely dehumanizing. I hate the term when people refer to these people as refugees or immigrants in the water. They're not. These are men, women, and children, and they should be talked about like that in every single publication. If you look at Sky News, who are horrible for it, TalkSport, the general right wing, the Sun, will always dehumanize by referring to them in this as being something other than human. They'll say refugees or immigrants, and it just knocks me sick. And Priti Patel, I just put her for a good old based in. Yeah, maybe that based in.
I don't know. Base. Yeah, I don't know. You baste your turkey, don't you? That sounds right.
Yeah, we'll fucking put her in and cook her. Anyway, that's the she's another turkey that's going in. But I want to move on to presents, because it's a time of giving. Whilst 2020 has been absolutely horrible for everybody involved. I can't think of anybody that's come out of here singing and dancing, but there has been a few. I know, Jay, we're going to talk about one in a minute, but I just want to say that you guys out there, there has been some absolute heroes in the nursing, in the hospitals that have been doing absolutely amazing jobs around the clock, putting their lives on the line to save others. And I found the whole clapping thing whilst I joined in, because my kids thought it was a fun thing to do, and tried to educate them on the importance of the NHS by doing that. I don't think it goes anywhere near enough as to what you deserve for the hard work that you do. Because for me, it's exactly the same as seeing in World War I, where we had soldiers at the Somme. That's exactly what the NHS workers were for me during the pandemic, and you should be celebrated and rewarded justly so. And also people like that were doing the marching for the Black Lives Matter movement. That was incredible to see the not just be an isolated event in America where it happened. This thing had happened all over the globe. So I know sometimes I can be negative on this podcast. I'd like to look at the positive and see that people are sort of aligning and seeing that these injustices can't happen anymore. And when they do happen, they need to be challenged first and foremost. And it is happening on a global scale. So just the people, man. So you guys out there that are challenging things, that are out there saving lives, you guys have been the heroes, the greatest present for 2020 for me.
Agreed, mate. You know my thoughts, and exactly echo your sentiments. Well said, mate.
Present for Jay Motty.
I mean, we've both got one, haven't we? The same guy, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna let you lead it into him.
Yeah, thank you, because I know you suggested this as well. We talk about him all the time. In the opposite way, we talk about like Donald Trump and Priti Patel and Boris Johnson. People are the opposite reason. We talk about Marcus Rashford. We talk about Marcus Rashford not just because we're two United fans from Manchester who absolutely love the fact that we've got a homegrown goal scorer who's a joy to watch and who gives his all for the club, but dare I say, even more than that, even more important than that, if I'm allowed to say that as a United fan. Yeah. The guy has just absolutely not just shone, he's outshone the so-called people running the country this sort of summer, autumn and winter. Is it autumn and winter, really, isn't it? If anyone who's been living under a rock for the last few months doesn't know what we're on about, basically Marcus Rashford, who grew up in Wythenshawe, which, you know, has its own sort of. I think he grew up in Wimenshaw and Fallowfield as well. I think if I'm getting it right. But anyway, he grew up in an area that's got sort of, you know, it's a working class area. It's quite, parts of it are quite deprived. That's not a slight on Wimenshaw, or my kids were born there. You know, it's not like a very sort of strong sense of community there, but, you know, it does have its issues. And Marcus grew up there and he didn't have a lot of money. His mum was working 3 jobs and he was on school meals. Again, nothing wrong with that. You know, it happens to a lot of people. But what that did for Marcus is he made it appreciate the fact that he was given free school meals. And when he realised that the government wasn't going to provide those free school meals during the summer, he decided he wanted to do something about it. So he started a campaign. The government had made a decision they weren't going to give free school meals. They did a U-turn because of Marcus Rashford's campaign. Then he wanted to extend it, and they said no. And then basically he said, all right, then, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And basically rallied the entire country into providing free meals for the children that couldn't afford them. And it was great because you had everyone from sort of Dave down the road with his sort of box of tinned food that he was giving out to people, to Tesco's or whoever, big companies, or, you know, Manchester City Council, or councils getting involved across not just Manchester, but, you know, Plymouth Council or whatever, or Sainsbury's in, I don't know, Tamworth, getting involved and say, you know, hey, Marcus, we're getting involved in your campaign. We're going to do this. Anyone who comes in our store who needs free fruit can have free fruit. Or, you know, anyone who sort of clicks on this website link can get a delivery for free. It was amazing. And it was community groups, it was individuals, it was charities, it was businesses, it was councils, it was the lot. The whole country came behind this young lad from Wimenshaw, to the point where the government tried to dig their heels in and said, we're not doing anymore. Realised that they didn't have a fucking choice because it was happening without him, and then did another U-turn and said, okay, then, well, we're going to give, I think, the extended universal credit and extended the school meals. Marcus hasn't stopped, though, and I say Marcus like he's my mate, I don't know the guy, but he hasn't stopped. He's not had his full, what he wants to happen. I think he still wants universal credit extended a bit more. I think he still wants to provide more because there's still families slipping through the net, as it's been termed, who are struggling. So he's got more to do. And if I was Boris Johnson, right, first thing I'd do after I'd probably visited all my kids, because they'd probably forgot what he looks like, would be to just sit down with Marcus Rashford, because I know he's had conversations with him, and just say, just tell me what you fucking want and let's do it. Because it's going to happen. And it's either going to happen quickly, where you can be a part of it and say, okay, we worked with him and we made it happen, or it's going to happen further down the line where you can't be a part of it and he makes it happen, and then you're left with more egg on your face because you didn't go along with it and it happened anyway. So take my advice, Boris Johnson, if you're watching this, because I'm sure you are. Just do what Marcus asks, because it's going to happen.
Yeah, and it seems whatever that man wants to set his heart to is going to happen. I hope he sets his heart to giving United the Premier League title, but this year. But
20 becomes 21, Scotty. 20 becomes 21. Don't forget that.
But yeah, it's just been an absolute breath of fresh air. And the one thing that I always go back to in this, he doesn't have to do this. He's a wealthy young man, and he doesn't have to do it. There's an abundance of football players out there, and this is not to negate any of them, because I know a lot of them do charity work and stuff like that. But he doesn't need to put himself in the firing line, because you do see that a lot of the press and across social media are taking pot shots at him, remarkably, for just wanting to feed impoverished children and families that can't feed themselves during what is an absolute crisis of a year. And, you know, if that lad isn't headed for a knighthood, and whether he'd take it or not, I don't know. But there's lots on this that I take great enjoyment from, and it's the inspiration that he gives now to the next generation that look at him as a footballer. Because I always said when I was growing up that before our kids, when you looked at the likes of Wayne Rooney, that was doing what Wayne Rooney was doing when he was like 19 in brothels in Liverpool and stuff, you know. And, you know, and the thing is, and he's a young lad, and he's welcome to sort of live his life and do his extracurricular activities as much as he wants. But people were getting pissed off in the press, and I was saying, well, why are you making footballers role models for your kids? You know, you're first and foremost, you should be the role model for your kid. And I know that footballers are on a certain pedestal, so kids will look idolize in one way or another. But this is different now. This is different. This is a lad who's trying to show that his position of power that he's in for the greater good and to help and save lives. So who knows what trickle-down effect that has onto the next generation. And then even moving forward for Marcus Rashford, in his career. He's 23 now. Do you know what I mean? We talk all the time on this podcast about populist characters getting into positions of power, like Boris Johnson, like Donald Trump. Now, I'm not saying Marcus Rashford would go down the line of heading into Parliament, but his fan base and the power that he has now, he can. What else can he challenge? What else is on the table? At 23, he's already taken on child poverty. What's next from that he can do? Any sort of injustice. It's true though, Jay. Do you know what I mean? I saw with my dad before about. My dad was saying, well, there's always been class differences throughout our history and you can't do anything about it. I said, no, the people who say they can't do anything about it, don't do anything about it. The people who want to do something, try, and hopefully they make a change. And that's what Marcus Rashford is, a hope. And that's what he is. He's just hope personified, that young lad. And I'm so proud that he's a Mancunian. I'm so proud that he's a United player. And I'm just so proud that he exists and for the work that he's done this year and will continue to do in 2021. Absolute present for us all, this lad has been this year. So thank you, Marcus. From the Scotty and Motty show, you absolute legend. Right, on to depressing matters. We have a Brexit deal at last. I don't know how many people had the party poppers out when our oven-ready deal went ding in the microwave, because I know there's a lot of people that aren't happy about it. The fisheries seem pretty pissed off about the waters and stuff. And also, that was quite surprising is that the banking buddies of Canary Wharf aren't too happy with how the financial sector are going to fall out from the EU deal, because it doesn't seem to be as good as Boris has made out. Obviously, he's going to try and put any sort of political spin, a little bit of tinsel on the deal, but it doesn't seem to be many people that are singing and dancing about it. I don't know how it's gone down in the EU, but we are here now. We are heading. Are we here now? Is it happened now? Is that it? We done?
I think so. I think it's more or less.
Has it got to go to a vote? Has it got to go to a vote?
It's been agreed. Yeah, I think it's been agreed. So I think it's got to be ratified and go to a vote. And it looks like, I think Keir Starmer's taking a break from abstaining on everything to back it. And if he'd have had more time, he'd have been on the list as the most useless opposition leader in recent memory, and that's saying something.
I saw some angry J tweets aimed at Keir Starmer.
Oh my God, did you see him? I don't want to go on a tangent, but he literally had a white supremacist on a radio show he was on and didn't even challenge them. Don't get me started on that. The guy's an absolute floppy cock. The terms of the Brexit deal, I mean, it looks like it's going to happen. The thing is, right, mate, Johnson said all along, get Brexit done. Yeah, we live in a world of sort of sayings and platitudes that are meaningless. Get Brexit done. Yeah, what does that mean? Doesn't mean get a good deal. It just means get it done. I can get Brexit. Doesn't mean I'm going to get you a good deal that anyone's going to be happy with. I can get you the shittest deal you've ever seen in your life, but it's a deal. Do you know what I mean? So we've got this get Brexit done, which you can file under take back control or, make America great again, as just meaningless guff that sort of wins votes. So he said he was going to get Brexit done. Then he said he had this oven ready, you alluded to earlier, or you mentioned earlier, this oven ready deal, which turns out it wasn't an oven ready deal, so it wasn't any such thing. It was just a withdrawal agreement, which is nothing to do with a trade agreement. Now, after sort of some frantic negotiations, he's managed to sort of get this deal together that looks like it's going to get approved. But we don't know whether it's a good deal or not. We sort of can see that there's parts in it that have upset people. There's parts in it that some people will be happy about. But from what I gather, and again, I'd have to look at it properly, I don't think this deal, even if you're a staunch Brexiteer, you've been honest with yourself, is as good as the deal we had when we were in the EU. I think all we've got really is, the best we can hope for is a less damaging deal. And I might be wrong, and if I'm proven, do you know what? Even though I was a Remainer, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this deal is fantastic, because I don't think this country can handle any more sort of hardship or, the economy getting any worse or anything like that. So I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this is the deal that all the Brexiteers were promising us, and that Boris Johnson has more than exceeded expectations and risen to the occasion or whatever. But I'm very, very, very sceptical that this is going to be any sort of, or is going to have any sort of happy ending for us. I really do. And I think this is just a case of a deal getting pushed through that keeps Boris Johnson in his job without setting hardliners in his party. And I think, again, Labour's will give Starmer some sympathy in the fact that you could argue if he doesn't go along with this, that no deal Brexit is the only other option, which should be worse.
And it'd be like, it would fall at his feet as to why we went into a no deal.
So I kind of get that, even though I'm obviously not Keir Starmer's biggest fan. I kind of understand that, where he's sort of been backed into this. He may feel he's been backed into this corner, but we'll have to wait and see. As they say, the devil's in the detail. I'll have to read the details. At the moment, we're just doing things like data and fisheries and security. What does that mean? I've no idea. We'll wait and see. All I know is that, we've had just some really bizarre headlines recently about going to war over fish and other such nonsense, which I don't ever remember seeing on the side of a bus. So let's see where we're at. And again, it's been 4 years of this now. We may not know the effects of this for a few years yet anyway. So we'll have to wait and see.
And obviously the coronavirus isn't going away anytime soon, and the implications of that, I think, by and large, will mask any sort of immediate impact from the Brexit deal that we want. I think a lot of it was sort of brushed under us, or we're financially screwed because we blew a load of money on PPE equipment we didn't really need from China. But we've got cracking Halloween costumes.
Them Nightingale hospitals that have been sat empty for the last 6 months.
Yeah, and then close them down. What the fuck was all that about? Now they're talking about trying to get everybody out of the hospital because they're going to need the beds. It's just bizarre. But I mean, on the whole Brexit deal, he never was going to go for a no deal, wasn't he? It was all huff and puff, wasn't it? Really, I think he was playing political poker to try and show that sort of stiff upper lip and play to that nationalist ideal where we have the stiff upper lip and we're going to, British bulldog spirit, and we're not going to take anything lying down and stuff. But it was always going to be a deal, regardless. Wasn't it? I just can't see that him knowing the implications for his own career and legacy having a no deal Brexit. Because I'm not too sure how much longer Boris Johnson would have stayed in the job through the Tory backbenchers or his mates in industry and stuff. So I can't see him. He would have survived that at all. So it does feel that way. But yeah,
do you think that what we've actually done, right? Maybe we're not giving this government enough credit. Maybe they've acted that thick and incompetent that Europe looked at us and thought, do you know what? These fucking idiots would actually have no deal. If we don't make this deal with them, these morons are that stupid. They'll fucking walk away from the table with a no deal Brexit because look at what they've been doing for the last year. They're fucking thick as pig shit. We better make a deal with them.
So they give us like a sympathy shag.
Yeah. It's like,
nice one, Brussels.
We're gonna burn down that country.
Yeah, yeah.
Because look at him. Let's just do a deal with him. Fucking hell, what they want some fish? Let them have him.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? We can't. It's not fair. We'll have to wait and see, mate. It's too early. Obviously, the right-wing press and the Tories and all the Brexiters will be proclaiming this a victory. The Remainers and people that aren't, never wanted to leave in the first place will probably be throwing shade at it. And the reality will be somewhere in between. And my suspicion is, I've always held this suspicion ever since we voted to leave, is that whatever deal we get, as I just said earlier, won't be as good as staying in the EU. And I hope this gets clips up and rammed down my throat. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope my kids and your kids have a much better future outside the EU than we had in it. I just don't see it happening. I just really don't.
Well, speak for yourself, mate, because I'm applying for an Irish passport, so you can fuck right off. I wish all the best for your kids, but no.
I've got some Irish heritage. Everyone's got Irish heritage. My grandma's half Irish, so yeah, I'll be.
You can't live in Manchester and not.
No, come on.
Irish,
really.
Yeah.
J.O. Motty is actually my real name. Don't worry about that.
Brilliant. But you were talking about the usual sort of Brexiteers getting behind it and Twitter, and the Toad of Toad Hall popped up, didn't he, saying, quoting John Lennon, the war is over. I was like, Jesus Christ, man, just fucking go somewhere and leave us alone, you fucking odious pig, lying Brexit bus bastard. There's all alliteration, poet skills.
That's why he's a poet.
But we're here now, anyway. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and whilst we can all say, "Oh well, it would have been better," and we're here, and maybe should have fought better as Remainers or whatever, but we're here now and we just got to sort of.
I think it's important, right? We're here. We've got this deal. It looks like it's going to happen. It looks like we're going to be leaving the EU. And, you know, I hope, like I said, I hope it works out. But you can mark my words, and I'm sure you'll feel the same. But if you don't, please tell me. But we're still going to hold the government to account. I think it's important people still hold this deal up to scrutiny. I think we have to, you know, if this deal turns out to be not what was promised, people have to be held up to account for that. And I think the press have an obligation to scrutinise and criticise where necessary, and to be objective as well. And if there are parts of it or it does work out to do well, then, you know, you can say that. But I'm hoping that this government just doesn't get a pass, and it's like, oh, well, we said we'd get a deal done, we got you one, and let's all just move on, even if life's a bit shitter. No, you know, we have to be. This is the government that took us into the referendum. This is the government that took us out of Europe, and this is the government that's delivering this deal after, you know, 2 different prime ministers and so many different deals. And from what I gather as well, this deal isn't even that fucking different than the one Theresa May had, but we'll wait and see. So you have to be held up to scrutiny, and I think it's important that the press do that.
Yeah, definitely. Right, 2021's on the horizon. Jay, what are you looking forward to, either personally, professionally, or whatever? What are your plans for 2021 to make up for this shit show of a year?
It's mad, isn't it? Because, you know, in 2019 going into 2020, you're probably thinking, you know what, it's going to be a great year this year. Was it the start of a new century, decade, isn't it? Yeah. So you start of a new decade, you think, yeah, this is great. You know, there's new horizons, new year, new me, and all that shit, and it's going to be great. And we're going to sort of kick on and put all this Brexit nonsense behind us, and really, you know, get together as a country. And then, oh hello, next thing you know, we're fucking fighting in Sainsbury's over tins of beans and toilet roll. And we're sending 100-year-old men to walk around the gardens to fund the NHS. It's like, how did this fucking happen? Do you know what I mean? This was meant to be the best year ever, and it's utter shit.
You know what I always think of is like, you know, you watch the History Channel and you see clips from World War One. It's like, can you imagine how much they're going to be laughing at us lunatics in like the year fucking, well, will it be 2120 when it's the 100-year anniversary of the corona pandemic, and they got these show reels about fucking lunatics stockpiling bog roll. Look at him go! Look at him just to wipe their ass, idiots.
You know what you're watching, like? So you're watching a history program, and it's like, say it's 50 years from now, and it's like the history of the world, you know, 2018 to 2022, and you're watching it and you're not off. Like, you're watching 2019 and you're not off, and then you wake up and you see people like you say, fighting over toilet roll and fucking the president telling you to inject bleach. You're going to think you've lent on the remote or something and you've actually flicked over to a fucking horror film or something. You're going to think, hang on a minute, this can't be history. This can't have happened. Well, it did, and we were living it. It was horrible. So, yeah, anything that sort of hopefully comes out of this nonsense from a completely selfish point of view, and I know people have got bigger fish to fry, but being able to go to football matches again, I miss that. Being able to see my mates, being able for my kids to play with their mates freely and go to school without having to get isolating because someone in their bubble's got corona or whatever. I'm just looking forward to all those little things that you sort of take for granted, because it has been. I know there's been obviously a lot of big things, and I've been, you know, quite fortunate in the sense that I haven't really lost anyone that close to me or that I knew with corona. I've had some friends who've lost a lot of people, sorry. So my heart goes out to them. But yeah, for me personally, just being able to do the things that I've always taken for granted that have been taken away from us. So looking forward to that. And obviously, as I said earlier, 20 becoming 21 for Manchester United. Yes,
fingers crossed. I hope to see you next year as well. I've not seen you at all this year.
Ironically, we spent more time together during this lockdown than we have since we met each other 20 years ago, without actually spending any time together. If that makes any sense to anyone.
I know,
You know what I mean? It's weird, isn't it? On all different platforms as well, like other than in person, like with messaging, Zoom. You've even had me on your radio show. That's how fucking desperate for guests you were. You even got me on one week.
Have you noticed it was a solitary experience?
Yeah, mate. It only took you 6 months to be dropping hints. That radio show you did, Scotty, that's mint. That sounds really good, that. I know you should have, like, people on it from, like, you know, just people, you know. Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah. All right, okay.
Yeah. And then I remember someone pulled out and, like,
Yeah. Anyway, I was like, Jay, can you come on the radio show? Oh, yeah, nice one. When do you need me? 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm on Talking, but I'm presenting Talking Balls in 2 weeks for a few nights, so I'll definitely try and get you back on for that. But
no, you don't invite me on. You actually nicked my gig. I used to cover for Gas Drink Water.
I'm not going to apologise.
The cream always rises to the top. I can't.
I've got a face for radio. I used to be on Football Focus, and I noticed the fucking shiny head Mank was on there the other week.
I can't grumble about a lack of media appearances, mate. Fucking hell.
I know. Yeah. But 2021, I'm going to be turning 40, and I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm embracing age, man. I don't mind getting older at all. You know, when you were younger and you thought you had all these sort of preconceptions that everyone gave a toss what you were wearing or what your opinions were. I think the older you get, you give less of a fuck, don't you? But and then I think you also realise is that the people you thought give a shit about what you were doing don't actually care anyway, and it's all in your fucking head. So next year, I'm midlife crisis, and I'm diving into it, mate. It's like open water swimming, skateboarding, Tony Hawk, down in Tameside. I'm having it, even though yesterday I nearly broke my neck going to trying to teach my daughter some skills. But yeah, I'm looking forward to 2021, and I'm looking forward to this show continuing in 2021. And I wish, and I'm sure Jay does as well, wish you all that have been watching. I hope you've all had a great Christmas. Best of luck 2021. We will have ups and downs, but Scotty and Motty show will be here throughout. I also know that Christmas can be a hard time for a lot of people. So if you are feeling low or anything and you do need to shout out, as always, my email or Twitter accounts or DM, get in touch. I'm always there for a chat no matter what the situation is. But take care of yourselves. And I've been Scotty, and that's been Motty, and we'll see you next year.
Oh.